A US Capitol police officer has died after attempting to control rioters as they broke into the Capitol building. Now, the details are slim at this point, even though the identity of the officer has been released. We don't know the specific details of the injuries that he suffered, but I'll give you the details we do know right now. The officer who died, it was Officer Brian Sicknick. He's with the United States Capitol Police, and his family is pleading with the public to give them a little bit of privacy and to not make his death political. But I do want to give you some details about what we know and how he died. The Capitol Police said in the statement that Sicknick was injured while physically engaging with protesters. He collapsed after returning to his division office and was rushed to a hospital where officials said he died at 9:30 p.m. on Thursday. At some point in the chaos, this is according to the New York Times, with the mob rampaging through the halls of Congress while lawmakers were forced to hide under their desks, he was struck with a fire extinguisher, according to 2 law enforcement officials. That's all we know so far. We don't know any other details. We don't know where he was struck. We don't know if the individual who struck him is in custody. We do know that there's a full-blown investigation to find more details. In fact, the FBI and DC police will jointly investigate the case, and the Department of Defense will spare no resources in investigating and holding accountable those responsible. But as you guys know, there was a mixed response by police who were actually on the scene as the rioters breached the Capitol. We saw proof, images, videos of some of these cops who were enabling the rioters, opening barricades to let them in some cases. We saw video from Baked Alaska's stream where you see police taking selfies with these rioters. And by the way, it's not really that shocking. I mean, we've seen so many examples, like in the situation with Kyle Rittenhouse in Kenosha, Wisconsin, where the cops were very friendly with right-wing gang members, but vicious to Black Lives Matter protesters. But with that said, the actions of the bad actors here, the cops who love to enable these rioters and people like that, led to one United States Capitol police officer dying as a result of being violently assaulted with a fire extinguisher by one of the rioters. So you guys jump in. I mean, it's just disgusting. Like everything that happened that day was absolutely disgusting. So I'll let whoever wants to jump in first share their thoughts.
Yeah, this shows me, and it should show everyone that, the Blue Lives Matter group is showing that Blue lives only matter so long as they're taking Black and brown lives, apparently, right? This was never about policing. This was never about protecting the blue or anything like that. Always about upholding white supremacy. And even when the police are the obstacles, they will be removed as need be for white supremacists, and then for those who are aligned with the white supremacists, as you said, not new. We saw this in Kenosha with Kyle Rittenhouse, but the question becomes, when will something be done about it? Because this culture is absolutely pervasive. This is something that we said before the break. This lack of accountability creates a God complex almost for the police around the entire country. They can do whatever they want, whenever they want. You had people in Nancy Pelosi's aide's office walking out of the office. If I was to do the exact same thing, I would be dead right now, Anna. Like I would literally be dead. A Black man cannot walk into the office of the Speaker of the House and attempt to kidnap her or whatever they were going to do with the zip ties and walk out unscathed, right? They have a search for these people now. Why do you have a search for them? Because you didn't arrest them in the first place.
No, but I mean, of course, you're right in everything you just said, especially when you consider like the sense of entitlement by the rioters who did breach the Capitol building and were just roaming around willy-nilly, no mask. And I'm not even talking about COVID mask. I'm talking about they didn't cover their faces because they realized they were engaging in criminality. They were emboldened, they had no fear, they felt they had a right to be there. I mean, the guy in Pelosi's office has been arrested. But look, I mean, look at him like taking pictures, talking to reporters outside of the Capitol building, following the vandalism he engaged in. He stole a piece of mail from Nancy Pelosi's desk. I mean, it's just, yeah, I mean, they had no fear. They weren't worried about any type of viciousness or brutality, or even they weren't worried about cops even doing their jobs in this case, right? They weren't worried about arrests. It's just beyond shameful. But yeah, Farron, jump in.
Well, what's really interesting too is in one of the video clips, it was part of the clip you showed earlier. It's a little further in it, but they're shocked. These insurrectionists were shocked that the police officers were not on their side at that moment. And that alone tells you so much about what they understand about police here in the United States. Like, I thought we were friends. I thought you were my bro. Why are you not moving aside to let this happen? They were absolutely stunned that 2 police officers, I think it was maybe 3, refused to step aside for them. And then of course, the second the police do, and they don't realize you've got the other people coming up the stairs, they break the windows. And then of course, more tragedy happens there. But they, honest to God, believe these police are on their side. And from most of the footage we have seen, I agree. There's more footage too of the one cop waving him in. Come on in. He's going. So this is so systemic with these police officers that they can't separate, the person next to them with the MAGA cape or the person next to them with a police badge. These insurrectionists view these as the same person, and in many cases they are.
Yeah, one video that is going to be in my memory permanently was this exchange between one, a Capitol police officer and a rioter. And the rioter's like in his face screaming at this cop. And he's specifically saying something along the lines, I'm paraphrasing, something along the lines of, we supported you when everyone hated you. How dare you? Like he was just in his face and angry that, by the way, the cop wasn't even being brutal with them. The cop was just trying to prevent them from breaking into the area where lawmakers were. That was all he was trying to do. And they were incredibly furious. Like, how dare you? How could you have the audacity to try to enforce the law with us or police us? Like we were on your side, right? And so, and their actions, both with what happened regarding the Capitol Police refusing assistance when they were asked by, when they were asked whether or not they would need backup ahead of time, right, on that day. And then after the fact, after the rioters had already stormed the Capitol Police were asked again if they wanted backup, and they still said no. It wasn't until Mike Pence was asked that they brought in more law enforcement to handle the crowd, to handle the situation. So those actions, those decisions that they made, those awful decisions, and you gotta investigate what motivated those decisions, led to one of their colleagues getting killed. So we'll see if they, go ahead.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I was just gonna say, we also have to deal with the fact that they knew for days. They had names.
Yep.
These people were not making it a secret what they wanted to do, where they were gonna be, and who they were. We at Ring of Fire, I'd been doing stories about this long before Wednesday. We knew the names. They were in the articles. You saw it on Parler. You saw it on Fortune. These people were bragging about it ahead of time. So there's no excuse. They knew what was coming and they made the decision to let it happen before they even got there.
Well,
yeah, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, I was just gonna
Frederick.
add that, that's because white rage has never been a danger to American culture, but Black justice is. And the juxtaposition of seeing the two in just the last few months is so telling, right? Anna was speaking about moments that will be in her mind forever. Well, one moment in my mind from the attack on the Capitol was the armed standoff, because it made me immediately think of Tamir Rice, who had a toy gun on a playground, right? The people who were in that armed standoff with those police officers are still alive. right? Like I want everyone to sit with that for a second. A child, a 12-year-old boy on a playground with a toy gun. Police are trained for moments like that. They were able to, as they have with Kyle Rittenhouse, as they did with Dylan Roof, they were able to get all these people out alive and into jail. But when it comes to Black lives, that seems to be completely beyond their scope of skill set.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.